Get ready. Go!
By the Vishanti for Wakanda! I'm everywhere.
Be strong together.
Behold! It's Nanotime. By the Eye of Agamotto!
You're the winner!
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Marvel Rivals Showdown, episode 2 of our podcast. Today's podcast, we're going to be talking about a wish list of characters that we've come up with, both me and Shinzo, and just kind of go down the list of characters, talk about them some, and discuss what we are likely to see, what we maybe aren't likely to see, and also kind of talk about what the Discord and what the community wants to see as well.
Yeah, right. Unfortunately, we don't have that much information to go on right now, but luckily for us, one of the things that people are most excited about is talking about their favorite characters and who they want to see in the game. So yeah, I ran a poll on the Discord, which has 80,000 plus members now. I collected together the most commonly asked for characters into that poll, and I also put an option for other as well, and then asked people to tell me what characters they want to see. So we got the results of that, and then we got both our own wish list of characters we want to see too.
Let's first start with the Discord, the community's wish list, I think. I think this is going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, let's go from highest to lowest, I guess.
Okay. The highest one, no-brainer, kind of what I expected, Deadpool.
Yep, Deadpool got 19% of the votes, so that's 32 votes.
I feel like that's a pretty obvious indicator that Deadpool, one of the most requested. Now, whether or not the devs know that, I'm sure that they probably are like, okay, well, what's going on in the MCU? And
yeah, for sure, they got to be looking at that, right?
Right, of course. I'm sure whoever's on their creative development team, like they're probably like, okay, in terms of what characters you want to see, unless they already have a slate of characters and that they've already planned out for whether it's the full roster or even beyond that. I think that's going to be kind of interesting.
On that somewhere. I wasn't surprised to see Deadpool getting such a high vote.
Yeah, me neither. I think people want to see Merc with the Mouth kind of go crazy, swords and guns and just have fun, because he is, if you ever played that, I think it was the Deadpool game.
Yeah, that was a fun time. A little bit
such a good game, right? It's kind of weird. It was kind of weird, but the fourth wall breaks were awesome, and I hope if they do add Deadpool eventually, that we do get something similar, fourth wall breaks a little bit. That'd be kind of crazy. And yeah,
that's, he's in my wish list actually. And yeah, that's one of the most important things for him, is nailing like him being funny. Mm-hmm. Like if you can do that, then everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah, for sure. And then who else is next?
Wolverine's next with 14% of the votes.
Yeah, of course, right? Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, Wolverine, I don't know if you probably agree with me. It was one of the most iconic, I would say probably the most iconic X-Men, right? Like, yeah,
for sure. Especially in the 90s, he was in absolutely everything. You couldn't move for Wolverine.
I mean, like I said, it's so early. We have no idea. It's all speculation. This is all like, what we feel. And so if they do add Wolverine, that's just obvious. Like, okay, good job, NetEase. And if they don't add Wolverine immediately into the roster, I would hope that they do get very quickly around to Wolverine.
If they don't.
Yeah, I mean, they have the Wolverine game coming out, that Insomniac's
doing.
That's
right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Plus, of course, Wolverine and Deadpool movies coming as well.
No brainer on Wolverine right there. And then who else? Who's after the Wolverine?
Next is Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler and Gambit are tied with 12% of the votes each.
Okay, so yeah, Nightcrawler is on, spoiler alert, Nightcrawler is on my personal wish list. I think Wolverine was as well. Gambit, also, I've seen so many people talk about Gambit.
I always liked Gambit, but I'm pretty surprised to find out so many other people do too. That's nice.
Yeah, I think X-Men 97 really, well, I mean, if you watch the 90s animated series, if you watch 97 now, then you can definitely like see where a lot of people are like, yo, Gambit's such a sick character. I mean, he's always been really cool, but I mean, seeing him now with the modern animation and stuff is really, really dope.
Yeah, I wonder how much recency bias is a thing, because we've got Gambit being awesome in X-Men 97 right now. I mean, he was popular again and with like Wolverine in the 90s too. So I guess maybe a lot of people have fond memories of him. That's why he got so many votes.
Mm-hmm. And then Nightcrawler. When I was thinking about all the characters, I'm really more fond of like the X-Men in terms of like all the teams in the Marvel universe, obviously. But yeah, part of that is kind of like recency bias as well. Like I've always loved the X-Men. I first got into the X-Men, I think, because of the live action movies back in like the early 2000s.
Oh, yes.
It was kind of my first exposure to them, like, in my conscious years. And so I was like, holy crap, these characters are so dope. And then we saw Nightcrawler, I think it was in X2 maybe?
I don't know. So when those movies came out, I loved the first one. I thought it was so amazing. And then I went back to it and was like, oh boy.
Yeah, it's whether or not they hold up is a topic for another time. But,
so I haven't seen them all.
No, they're definitely dope. And I think they haven't really done Nightcrawler maybe as much justice as they should have. But seeing him here and being able to see him in the game would be super sick. A Nightcrawler like teleport sound effect.
Bam.
Like whenever you see like the blue like smoke and then he just kind of like evaporates and then like this, I don't know. I just always loved that. The way they've always visualized it, I think, is very cool in terms of
I
his
always thought he looked
teleportability.
really, really cool. And they had some really interesting stuff in the Krakoa era of him, like, he's quite a religious person. And in the Krakoan era, X-Men could just be revived. They could just come back to life. And he was like, well, what does that mean for religion if we don't die anymore? So there was a short series of him like really trying to work that out. It was so interesting. I loved that.
Yeah, Nightcrawler, definitely one of the more like philosophical characters. I definitely like that part about him. Most people like always forget that. Yeah, he has that religious background, right? And then also the fact that he's swashbuckling. But I don't want to go too much into Nightcrawler because that's kind of dipping into a little bit of our wish lists, right?
Next is Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is tied with Other, yeah.
Yeah, so Silver Surfer, he's also on my wish list, so I don't want to go too much into him, but not surprised here. Silver Surfer, maybe a little bit of recency bias as well with this one, with the announcement of the Fantastic Four live action movies, and then the announcement of
some people were very upset about that because he might it might not be it might be the female Silver Surfer.
Right. But in terms of the game, I definitely think we're probably going to see Nornrad. He's a cool character, and yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he looks super cool. Especially there was Trad Moore Silver Surfer Black. That if we got a skin of that looks so cool.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that'd be so
I would love
sick.
that. All right. And then Other, we'll get onto those later, I guess, because there's a whole bunch of characters that came up a few times. But Other had 10% of the vote, so that's 17 people wanted characters I hadn't even included.
Yeah, it could be anybody, right?
Down from there, 9% for the Fantastic Four.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's...
Coming right after Silver Surfer. Like you said, people are maybe excited because they just got announced. But also, the Fantastic Four comic that's running right now is amazing. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, Fantastic Four, like, not surprised right after Silver Surfer, but like I said, same deal. The movie got announced, and a lot of people are kind of maybe dipping back into the comics and dipping back into what they know about Fantastic Four, because I feel like for a long time, similar to X-Men, like they just weren't getting the best rap. And like
I know mostly recent comics, and I know Fantastic Four had a Jonathan Hickman run that people really, really loved, and now we've got a new one which is like just incredible. It's so good. So I really hope the movie gets people excited to read it because it's super well done.
I could see them, if they're really ambitious, like adding all the Fantastic Four in one go, maybe in one season. That'd be kind of crazy.
When the movie comes out or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like a golden opportunity, really, including Silver Surfer, right? But we'll just have to see. I think depending on how far the game's life cycle goes, we could probably start seeing these characters year 2, maybe even, year 3. But after them, then we're kind of winding down now to like the single digits, right?
Oh, Jean Grey. I was surprised to see her, actually. Jean Grey's pretty popular.
Yeah, Jean Grey also very popular. I've seen her around a few times in terms of like the comments on the Discord and stuff. And I'm surprised that people want to see Jean Grey, really, because I'm like, there are a lot of other X-Men, and I'm like, but there's a lot of people who've commented on like a lot of movesets that they would want to see on Jean Grey, funny enough. So I was like, wow, like a lot of people did some in-depth consideration with her, and like, they're like, they want to see Phoenix Force version of her. And,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about the series, the original animated series, she did a lot of fainting and grunting.
In 97, they've tried to showcase Jean Grey in a way that's like, there's a lot of deception, there's a lot of stuff going on with her and Cyclops. And maybe a lot of these votes are probably from recency bias, I would say. Like, a lot of people saw this stuff and they're like, that should be so cool. We've seen a lot of Jean Grey. I mean, I think she's most obviously synonymous with the Phoenix Saga. So like, everyone kind of just is like, her ultimate ability, or her abilities have to revolve around Phoenix, which, makes sense.
Gwenpool is right behind Jean Grey. She has 4% of the votes.
So Gwenpool, interesting choice. I think that in terms of who we could see, I feel like they want to get the big names, the big hitters first. Get everybody excited. Oh, you want to play as Magneto? We already got that. You want to play as Iron Man? Like they're getting the big hitters, right? Like, so future characters, we definitely want to see those characters come out just to bring attention. And then once we have a deep player base, which, they're going to have a deep player base. But if I want to see like, okay, like who are we working with? Then eventually we'll start to see a lot of more of these niche characters. And kind of like what we'll see with some of the lesser votes, we could definitely see these characters, I think, come in like later down the road. Yeah,
I wonder for Gwenpool, because she hasn't been in any MCU stuff at all. Usually the ones that everybody knows are the ones that have at least featured in the MCU. But Gwenpool, she's a character I've seen, I know of her, but I've never read any of her books. And she doesn't have one currently either, I think.
Okay.
So, she's a bit niche, but popular enough to get 6 votes.
Yeah, I'm honestly not surprised. Like, we have 5 votes on Squirrel Girl. I'm surprised she didn't have more votes. Obviously, people probably like trolling and like they're like, oh, like, we want to see Squirrel Girl, and like there's a very adamant fan base.
I was about to say, I've never read her either, but she is really well liked by the people who like her. She's got a really vocal fan base. And the comic that she was written by the guy who's now doing Fantastic Four. I love the new Fantastic Four so much that I want to go back and read Squirrel Girl now.
I feel like we could probably see Squirrel Girl before Gwenpool because NetEase could literally just add some original characters, and like not to say Squirrel Girl like is like an original character from them, but I mean like in the sense that like they really want to just go like niche, just to like interest people outside of like the main,
to catch people who are not necessarily into the superheroes.
Well, not to say that they're not into the superheroes. I meant like in the sense that like they're like, okay, well, we want to add characters that are also like people aren't really heard of. Like for example, like we got Luna Snow, we got Magic. I mean, Luna Snow completely is like really is like new, and Magic is like
brand new.
If you've been into the Marvel universe, if you've been into the comics and stuff, and you're kind of just like you're pretty adept in like your knowledge of that universe, then you're like, okay, I've heard of Magic for sure. And so, they've kind of got those like middle ground characters, and then they have Squirrel Girl, which is like someone who obviously she has a very adamant cult following of hers. And I could see them if they wanted to be like, okay, we have all the big names, we got all the big guys. Now let's add some more. Let's just sprinkle in some of these other characters too, kind of like how they've already they already are doing, rather,
Yeah, I hope we get some more obscure people after they cover all the big ones. I guess that brings us nicely onto the other votes that we got.
All right, so we got
Rogue got 3. I feel like people know who Rogue is. Who else we got here? Captain America has 2 votes. Some speculation that maybe he's coming anyway.
Yeah, I think he will be as well. Like there's no way that they don't add Captain America, and we kind of saw it in the description of like the that early published version of the Xmmar trailer. Apparently it was in the description. I didn't look at it directly myself,
but I saw it maybe in Black Widow.
Yes, him and Black Widow, correct.
They were listed and then removed, so maybe he's coming anyway. Nova got 2 votes. Nova's a character I barely know. I only know Nova from the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Right. Nova seems like a character that they probably would add, and like if they have Captain Marvel eventually added as well. Like I said, like if they someone commented to me recently that like that they read somewhere, I don't know if this is like an accurate source or not, that they're planning on releasing 1 new character per season. Now, whether or not that's true, like, it's kind of disappointing, but makes sense because it takes a lot of development time based on like just kind of like each of these characters has to like work well, and there's a lot of mechanics in terms of team up stuff. So
1 a season would be like, how many a year do you think? 3 or 4?
That'd probably be, I mean, depending on how long their development cycles are, right? Like, so kind of like just using Overwatch as a base, like they did like 3, like for example, like it was like, and on average, like 3 a year, like every 4 months there was a new character, right? So
I feel like if 4 a year is pretty good, I think. Maybe. 3 if 3 is pushing it.
Yeah, if they wanted to do like, if they did it like every 3 months, then that's 4 characters, right? So that I could see being okay. That makes sense, and so that
like you can't do it too fast, but you also can't be too slow. Especially with this game where you have so many to draw from, and people want so many characters.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we have to just like, we as players have to be like, okay, how realistic is it for them to add some of these really powerful characters? Because obviously, like they've added Hulk, and they've added like all these like very powerful characters and stuff, and so it's like, okay, well, we have to balance them. We have to see, like, we can't make Hulk just absolutely just demolish everybody, even though yes, in comic accurate, yes, he could do that, but for the game's sake, like, how are we gonna add Captain Marvel and and she's incredibly powerful too, and she can do all these things, so like I feel like they have to balance move sets, they have to balance all these other things, so it's one of those things where we as players have to probably like ease back our expectations of like who we could see, right? But it's always fun just to guess.
Then after Nova, we got Beta Ray Bill, who I feel like really few people know. But he got 2 votes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, same deal with like Nova, right? I mean, we got to add Thor first. Yeah. Before we see Beta Ray Bill.
You can't have Bill without Thor.
Right.
People be like, who's this horse face man? What's going on?
Yeah, right. It's like Moose, dude. And so like even then, like Thor, I'd love to see like Mighty Jane, Jane Foster.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of sick. Eventually, and then some of the other characters adjacent, like I said, they already teased Hela, and I could see them coming and bringing in Hela to the game. So,
I'm not sure
far
how.
off.
Do you think Hela would be playable?
I mean, it's one of those things where what kind of world are we living in where we have Loki, not Thor, and then Hela, right?
Yeah.
it would be interesting choice. I'd want to see why. Maybe there's a narrative direction as to why they would do that. And like I said, we're still, as of recording this, we're in pre-alpha for us. So like we have no idea. Like
nothing.
they could literally, by the time this episode goes up, they could have like released a new trailer or like a new, I don't know, blog post about like, okay, these are the characters that we're gonna see or anything. So we could see Thor, and we're just speculating that their Thor isn't there right now. So, but in terms of Hela, I would be interested to see what she could do. I mean, you know, she's like, if you watched Thor Ragnarok, I mean, a lot of people probably did. It is one of the best MCU movies.
It was so
Thor
fun.
Movies.
That's actually when I got into the MCU. It was the first one I saw, and I was like, this is so fun. I'm having a good time. I liked Hulk before that, but I feel like Hulk's kind of off to the side. The Ed Norton Hulk. I had a really good time with that one. But then that feels like it's kind of by the side. Doesn't really count. And then Thor Ragnarok was just so much fun. I was like, oh yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah, no, great movie. I mean, that's a lot of people got introduced to her. I was introduced to Hela at that point as well, and so just, you know, I'm kind of interested to see what she could do. Like, you know, if she can transform her, like the her outfit, her uniform into like her battle armor, and also in the What If series, we see a little bit more of her as well. And I think it was in, I believe, season 2.
Yeah, it was. She got.
So yeah. So, I mean, she's cool. I definitely could see her. I don't know what moveset she could come up with. It's kind of hard. I mean, maybe like resurrecting her teammates from like maybe a necromancy like kind of abilities, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering if either she's going to be a playable character or if we're going to be super lucky and get some kind of story missions and she's just a boss or an enemy that you have to fight. I would be really happy if there was some kind of campaign for this.
Right.
And also that would be such a slap in Overwatch's face. If this game has a campaign and story missions and it doesn't.
EVE would be interesting to see, but yeah, I mean, if they do a campaign, she could be a cool boss. And a lot of these villains, maybe like big bads, we could see. But I feel like that's probably a lot of work, and they probably want to focus mostly on PvP, which makes sense because that's how they've marketed the game so far. So
yeah, right. Who else we got? There's a couple more people after Beta Ray Bill. We had Venom. Venom only got 3 votes, but I've seen everyone talk about Venom a bunch of times, like Venom and Carnage.
I mean. I think Venom and Carnage are very obvious picks, so not surprised there as well.
Yeah. Ghost Rider, I don't know how you do it. Maybe you could let him have a motorcycle. I don't know. But Ghost Rider's in there.
Yeah, maybe his ult could be something like, kind of like, and I hate doing this. And like, I know somebody mentioned to me, like, you know, you keep mentioning Overwatch. I'm like, but it's hard because somebody was like, oh, what about Paladins? I was like, I didn't really ever play Paladins, so I don't have intimate knowledge of it. No. And not to say that maybe the game isn't good. I genuinely don't know. And a lot of major news trades and everybody on the Discord, everyone's like, this game is very similar to Overwatch. A lot of the headlines would have said otherwise, that, oh, Overwatch or Marvel's new Paladins like game, but it's not that. Right? It's Marvel's Overwatch is what they're calling it, or what they've said this game is akin to. So that's like kind of just what we have to go with.
The style is close enough, and also there's lots of character parallels. Like, it is really close. Yeah. And I don't know if that's necessarily even a bad thing, since Overwatch was really good and it did really well. So yeah, sure, it's really close to Overwatch, but that's not bad. So I
agree. I don't think it's bad either. I don't think like Overwatch 1 was a great game and incredibly fun for its time, and so like
I like how you keep weighing that out, but I agree with you. Yeah, 2 fell off, but yeah, one was great.
But one was so good, and like I said, I hate can't even do it, but it's just it's the thing that just comes to my mind first. And so like I said, with back to Ghost Rider, you know, similar to Junkrat, maybe ripping his like the wheel. And
I was thinking the same thing with the chains.
Yeah, he pulls the motorcycle out with the chain stuff, and just kind of like he can like one shot somebody, pen and stare somebody. I don't know, that'd be kind of funny, but. Yeah. So I mean, not surprised. Ghost Rider also gets an honorable mention here. Oh, I see. Also, we get Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops.
One of my absolute favorite X-Men, and I don't care what anybody says, because everyone says if you like Cyclops, it's like you're pretty much a narc, because Cyclops is like a cop.
I've heard that a lot too, but I mean, I only started to read X-Men in the Krakoan era, because before that it was just so complicated to try and get into it that I just never could. And Cyclops he hasn't done all that much in Krakoa, really.
Yeah, they really I think gave Cyclops a bad rap for a long time. He was always just like never done right, I think, until We got where he was. I think he got the Phoenix Force.
Oh, did he?
And yeah, he was a Phoenix inhabitant. It was a great run. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I don't want to spoil it in terms of like what happens, but it's like he was one of. I think it was during. Well, I think it was during the Avengers and X-Men arc, Avengers versus X-Men. I think. Don't if anybody reads that or hears that and they're like, dude, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure it was that, but forgive me if it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was that run, and he was one of like the coolest villains. Like he became one of the coolest villains. Yeah, super dope run. He had a great outfit. Oh my gosh, they basically just made him a badass, and then
they did again in X-Men '97. In the first episode, they made him so cool. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe how cool he was.
That I was like, finally, now we're talking. And then he's like a top of my wish list as well. Like if I couldn't choose Wolverine, I'd be like, yo, bring Cyclops in, like as like a cool replacement. Honestly, he's the leader of the X-Men, so technically he could be first. But I definitely want to see him for sure.
All right, that's what the community wanted. That's what we got from the Discord. Now we got our own wish lists, and luckily we didn't even plan this, but we've picked 10 completely different characters. None of them are the same.
Yeah,
we didn't plan that, but it worked out really nicely.
It did work out really nicely. I'm glad. I did pick. I think looking back, I didn't realize this, but like I said, some of the characters are on my list are also on the community poll. But it makes sense. It's just kind of like
it makes sense that the characters that you want are characters other people also want.
Yeah, for sure. So we can probably start with. You can just go down the list. Start with your wish list, and we can just go down one by one.
The first character on my list was Dr. Voodoo, who I feel like he and Clea could both be skins for Doctor Strange, and Wong too, actually. But I love Dr. Voodoo, and I think he's different enough from Doctor Strange to be his own character. Like we were talking about earlier, he's one of those like kind of deep cut characters. I don't think we'd really get him because he's not somebody that everybody knows, but he's one of my favorites. So Dr. Voodoo is basically, another sorcerer. He's like Doctor Strange, but he's kind of in the background a lot. He had some appearances in the early days. He had like a 5-issue miniseries, and now he kind of hangs out at Strange Academy, and he's the headmaster there. So he's kind of a character that I think is awesome and so underused.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally know a lot about Dr. Voodoo. I think maybe seen him in like some maybe more of the Strange Academy stuff. I think but I didn't know too much. I haven't delved too much into his character personally. But I see here you've come up with like some abilities maybe.
Yeah. So what's cool about Dr. Voodoo? Well, one of the cool things about Dr. Voodoo is that he has a twin brother who is dead and lives inside his body. And he has lots of other abilities too, because he's one of those characters that's been in the background a lot. He's done lots of things, but he hasn't really, besides that one miniseries, hasn't had his own series. So all of his abilities haven't really been collected together. So he's got lots of random ones. So one time he managed to survive having his throat cut via meditation. So I thought that would be a cool ult for him to have, is if he could survive maybe one death and come back.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Also, I thought because he has his brother with him, he could have his own team up with his brother. So what he can do with his brother can possess somebody else. So I thought it would be cool if his brother Daniel possesses somebody, and then the player that's playing Dr. Voodoo can control the possessed character, and team member from the opposite team would get control of Dr. Voodoo. So you switch bodies for somebody. But I guess that would be really unfair, give you an unfair advantage. So maybe you can't harm your opponents when you're switched. But if you have control of a team member of the opposite team, then you can disrupt what they're doing. So you can like move off the point, or you can move away from the chariot. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That's interesting. So like, what if it was something that like it became like a one-on-one situation where like the person that you swap bodies with, you can only for that duration, you guys can only fight each other. You guys can only harm each other. Like maybe like I feel like if it was like a one, it becomes like a one-on-one situation instead, because like I mean, taking on another person's abilities, I feel like that's a lot of like a lot of people's wish lists. A lot of characters have this like mimic ability, and so like the ability to copy people, the ability to switch to other people's abilities, like this kind of stuff. So like maybe if you do that, it's just a one-on-one situation, just to like, because I mean, not being able to harm somebody, but like being able to like move them, and especially if you're doing it as an ultimate level kind of ability, it would be kind of like, I think a lot of people probably would be like, that's kind of a hard sell to them. So like maybe you could do damage, you could fight each other, but it's like one-on-one. What do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe, possibly. I'll be scared to use it then.
you have to 1v1 like somebody who's you swap into their body, and now they swap into yours, and it's just who's the better like player. That'd be hilarious. That's really like the ego. That's the ego arena right there.
And then the only other idea I had for him was like a holographic projection. I think I've seen it in another game. I don't recall which one it was, but your character made like duplicates of themselves, but those duplicates would just run forward and shoot. So they would act like a player for a moment.
Oh yes. Okay. So Yeah. So I know what you're talking about. Like, so similar to Mirage in Apex Legends.
Maybe that's
Mirage
what it was.
is like a decoy. Yeah, basically,
Yeah,
like does the
decoy.
same movements as you and everything, and like obviously it can't shoot. The decoy can't shoot, but it will do the same exact movements as you, pretty much, to distract the enemies. Yeah.
It won't do damage, but it will look like a real person for a bit. So I thought that would be really fun. Yeah, so that's all I got for him. But yeah, it's just a personal favorite character I'd love to see. I don't think it's very likely, but there we go.
I definitely think that they need to add more characters with the mystic arts would be so cool. I mean, we already got Scarlet Witch coming, so
yeah, we got
any
Scarlet
more
Witch and
characters.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, any more characters they can add, that would be dope too. I could definitely see Wongers coming.
Yeah,
eventually.
I really hope we get Wongers.
Okay, so now on mine, obviously I think this was it's the most obvious choice. It's not really like anything crazy or anything, but I should Doctor Doom. I'm so excited to see Doctor Doom, one of my favorite villains in all of Marvel. You know what? I think one of the coolest villains, and I think he's obviously coming. He's in the narrative of the game. We just don't know. We haven't seen anything about him yet, but I had to pick him.
He's a character that a lot of people really love, and because I'm such a newcomer to comics, I hadn't seen him a lot. But in the Fantastic Four I was talking about before, there's an issue of him going back and forth through time, and you got to see his insane ego, like, and how much he thinks of himself, and that really won me over. Like, I don't usually like that kind of person, but he's just so full of himself, like to such a high degree. I was he's kind of cool.
I mean, there's so much, like, he's a complex character, I think, but he's also like such a badass like villain. I mean, he's like, he cares about his sovereign nation. He cares about, like, wanting to be a person of his people, but also like he has to establish the fact that like I'm the most badass, I'm the smartest villain. God Emperor Doom, one of my favorite versions of Doom, is like insane. I mean, it was just, I don't know, him, and then also he's probably gonna be coming into Marvel, the MCU eventually, which would be dope to see. They could make him really, really cool. Add Doom bots as well.
Yeah. That's what I've seen mostly of him for a long time, was just the Doom bots, and that didn't come off as so cool to me until I read that other thing where it was actually him, and I got to look into his head, and that was really interesting. And also that costume is so cool. Like, there are some costumes in Marvel that I think are kind of a little bit goofy, but they're still so cool. Like Doctor Doom is one of them. Like a big green cape and this metal mask, like that should not look cool, but it does. It looks so cool.
Yeah, I mean, so many good moments from him in the comics and stuff like that too. So obviously, he's a top contender for me to want to see come to the game.
Do you have any like moves or anything you think you'd have?
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard, right? Because I was like, at first I was like, okay, well, what do I want to see him? What role could I see him in? And in my video, I said I think I could see him being a tank character for sure. I mean, I could be argued that he's a DPS character probably, but I was like, I could see him probably being a tank, just because, like, why not? He's a dude in a metal suit of armor, like similar to like Iron Man, but also like Doctor Doom seems to have a bigger presence in the story, so like making him a tank with more health, more abilities, because and also I'm pretty sure Doctor Doom isn't one to like, he also dabbles in the mystic arts,
Oh, I've heard,
yeah. So like he definitely has, I think, he could have a versatile moveset. I'm not sure like what he could do. I think Doombots probably has to be maybe like an ultimate of his, like calling like a bunch of just like Doombots to like just play as like turrets or something like that. I think that'd be kind of interesting to see. But I mean, I don't know if I really have a set move list for him yet. I'd have to like probably think about it a little bit deeper.
I would really like to see him in the art style they got for this game, because we were talking about it a little bit earlier, how they've somehow made it look super cool, but the colors are also pretty bright, so it looks this really strange balance between really cool but also really bright and friendly. So Doom, because of his green and his silver, will look really good in that style, I think.
All the characters have this like very like, they have like rough like lines, and like they have like sharp lines to them, like jagged edges and stuff, outward armor, like everything. They all seem very tough too, but also very like cartoony and very comic-y. So it's like it's gonna be cool to see whenever we get a chance to look at Doom finally.
Yeah, Luna Snow Creator in the Discord was talking about how all of the characters have a unique outfit for Marvel Rivals. So they've changed the costumes just a little bit. So they're still really obviously that character, their iconic costume, but it's like you said, they're a little bit more bulky. There's armored elements or like different textures on there. So I wonder what they would do with Doom.
Yeah, I mean, he's, like I said, based from the narrative, I'm pretty sure Doctor Doom, if I remember right, Doctor Doom is fighting a future version of himself, a 2099 version of himself. personally.
Oh,
If we see there's two versions of him, or he gets,
yeah.
obviously there's going to be the same version of him. He just has two different skins. One with so he has the green and the silver, the iconic one. But then the Doom 2099 has the like blue and white. It's like a blue and silver. It's like a blue cloak instead of like
I've never
the green.
seen it. Let me look it
And
up.
it's like a silver and white. Yeah, it's super clean. It looks really dope too, and it has like the red glowing eyes. That would be kind of cool to see. And like, you know,
Yeah, that looks awesome. Look at that.
yeah, it's gonna be dope. So we're gonna apparently, you know, if we see him come to the game, and I wonder, yeah, like kind of like what you mentioned earlier. I wonder if there is gonna be a story-driven mode, or if there's just gonna be story just laced throughout the PvP mode somehow.
Yeah, I wonder. Or I mean, you'd be crazy not to do a tie-in comic too, I guess.
Yeah, right. I could definitely see that being an adjacent marketing thing for them to be like, okay, well, here's some of the lore and background of what's going on in the game.
You know what? We talked about the trailer for like 2 hours last week, and I hadn't even until just now considered that there would be a comic that goes alongside this. And now I'm really, really, really excited.
Yeah, I could totally see it. I mean, it's a great
It's so
marketing, it'd be a
obvious.
great marketing tool.
I just didn't think of it at
Yeah.
all because I was so focused on the trailer. I hope we get a really cool comic.
Yeah,
That's
for
awesome.
sure. I think it'd be cool as part of like the backstory of the game and what's going on for sure.
And who better to face off against Doom than Doom?
Right. Exactly.
Man. I think that was part of what made me like him so much in the Fantastic Four I was talking about, was that he starts to kind of go back in time and try to fix something. And he realizes that and he's so smart that if it could be done, he would already have done it. So he kind of like gets inside his own head and is like, well, if I haven't done this already, then it can't be done. Which means either I'm not good enough. So his like all the time his ego is like going. So yeah, Doom fighting
sure.
Doom is so cool.
Yeah,
I want to see that for sure.
That's why he's one of my top picks. Just I love his character design, everything about him, his just presence. It's so cool. So yeah, but all right, let's so we can go move on to your next pick.
All right, number 2 for me was Miles Morales. So it's another character that could easily be a skin, but I feel like they're different enough that they could be their own character as well. And Miles is kind of I didn't put him on the poll. I should have put him on the poll because I think he's pretty popular. I mean, he's been in Spider-Verse. He's got his own series.
I think he's become incredibly popular now. I mean,
yeah, thanks to those movies.
Because of the movies. Yeah,
They are
of course, thanks
amazing
to the
movies.
He's now. I mean, I didn't know much about him outside of what was it when he was first introduced? Like, was it the
Ultimate
was
Spider-Man?
It Ultimates? Yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, and so I heard things like, you know, about him, not really too much, and then obviously the movies kind of just exploded him into the mainstream. So definitely I would love to see him come in as a separate character. A skin would be kind of like meh, but
yeah, it feels there's a couple of characters that are like that where like I'd love to see them in any way that they can put them in. So I mean, if it has to be a skin to a similar character, that's cool. But it also feels like it does that character down a bit. Like later on, I think I have a section of people I would just like to see, though I don't know if we'll get them. Like She-Hulk would be awesome. And
yeah.
You could make her a skin for Hulk, but that feels kind of unfair to her. But also, you got to think about the dev team who have to make an entirely new character who's quite similar to another character. So I can see them not really wanting to do that.
Exactly right. That's what I was saying. Like we have to temper our expectations with like what's possible. Any like I said, we have to temper expectations with what's possible, but also anything is possible. So
yeah, there's so many things to draw from. It's insane.
Exactly. But yeah,
So,
Miles
I'd love to
Morales is
see-
a great pick.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to see Miles. So he's got his own abilities that are separate enough for Spider-Man. Like he has his Venom Blast, which is like an electricity power he has. Super recently, he's been able to make a sword out of that, like an electricity sword.
Yeah.
So he could use that. And he has invisibility, which he doesn't seem to use that much, but that seems like you could really use that in this kind of game. And of course, then you could do team ups with Spider-Man. I thought it would be cool if they teamed up to make like a web barrier. So each of the two people who are playing those characters has one end of the barrier and they have to attach it to something. So you could attach it to either side of a corridor and like web the corridor off and stop the chariot moving for a bit, or you could use it as, you know how, again, we're going back to Overwatch, but May has that ice wall, but you'd have to work together to place it in the right places. I thought that would be cool to see. And,
that'd be cool.
and of course, Spider-Man has his swinging around, so Miles would be doing that stuff too.
Yeah, they definitely got to get the swinging right, man. I said that last episode too. I was like, that's one of the things I'm actually, like, it's a small detail, but one of the things I'm actually very curious as to see, like, how does that play and how does that feel?
Yeah, same. I want to know how good it feels because again, we got to temper expectations. It needs to be better than it has been in the past, but it's not going to be able to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like Insomniac level Spider-Man. That's going to be tough to do. But like I said, I have faith. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, gotta hope you get in there, Alpha.
Dude,
come on.
Every day I'm checking my email. I know it's not going to be till May, but whatever. So
I don't know what's happened. Like, I haven't been this excited for something in a long time. Where now I get up and check the Discord and the Twitter, like, oh, anything happened? It's really fun to be excited about something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been waiting for like a new game to like play and like really like just get into. So like I said, this was just a perfect opportunity for that. And obviously, what better than to do some of my, combine my favorite kind of games with like my favorite, like the comics and the fandom side of things. So yeah, it's perfect storm.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, who you got next?
I got Cyclops. No surprise there. I mentioned him earlier. I have to. I mean, like I said, leader of the X-Men. They've been kind of. I'm not gonna spend too long on him, but they've been doing him justice recently, and I would be like so psyched to see him like more of like a kind of like sniper style, just like concussive beams, just shooting people from distance, or like you could just like hold the laser beam down, more of like a similar to what we've seen with Iron Man with his chest laser, just like that kind of ability. I think for his ult, I would just say, yeah, man, just take the visor off and just like giant, just like laser beam, just let it rip down, just clear a path, or like just knock enemies out, or just like snipe somebody from a distance. Like, that kind of level of concussive beam would be so sick to see.
From going back and watching the trailer again, all of the AoE attacks in this game are huge. The map also looks really huge, so that it makes sense that the AoEs need to be big. But that gives them like a style and an impact that's going to feel so good. So I can imagine him ripping off his visor and that being like a huge red cone out in front of you, just like with a big sound effect too. Man, that would be great.
Oh, that would be so cool, dude. Oh my God. And then like team ups too. Like I said, like imagine like if he's able to team up with like Iron Man, he shoots his concussive beam back into Iron Man's back, and then Iron Man's lasers turn red.
Oh, man.
I don't know, something cool. Like there's just so many possibilities. I mean, we haven't even really kind of just talked with like what the team ups we could possibly see. Like, but that's just one thing I just came up with. I was like, oh yeah, like
in the trailer we get to see Rocket and Groot's team up quite a lot. But the one that interests me more was Luna and Namor. I don't know how you say it anymore. But their team up changes his moves completely. So, I mean, Rocket riding on the back of Groot seems like they get a power boost and they can shoot things better. But he changes his octopus turrets into blue ice turrets, and it gets like a blue like aura on him. So I really wonder how much these team ups are going to do. And actually, that comes into some of the stuff I put on my wish list later. Like the game can really change a lot depending on what you do. So I'm really excited to see in the alpha like how much the team ups change and affect things.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was considering was when I was thinking about team ups was like, okay, well, is it only team ups that are specifically to one character? Like you can only do Iron Man and Hulk. You can't do like Hulk can't do it with somebody else, or which I find would be very limiting. And would be very like make the play styles very constricting in terms of team compositions, I think.
Right, I was about to say if there are certain abilities that are the most useful, then somebody always has to be X character and someone else always has to be the other character.
Exactly.
And I can see it causing trouble if somebody doesn't pick the right character. Like if people are going to be arguing like, well, you need this guy because this person is this person.
Exactly. So I wonder how much flexibility we're really going to have with team up activations, and if they're going to be like upgrade systems. Or like I haven't even like thought about that yet. That could be a whole separate episode of like what like
gear and augments and that kind of stuff.
Gear augments, like that whole stuff. So that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, that's something to also consider.
Yeah, as well, we've seen in the trailer there's point capture modes. So if you're so close to all your teammates and you can do a team up with all of them, that's going to be insane. Like you're not going to be able to select the character you want properly. So I wonder if everybody can team up with everybody, that's cool, but that's going to be so hard to pull off. You got to try and I don't know how the mechanics of that's going to work.
Definitely hard to try and balance that. I would imagine that's probably why they haven't shown any of the characters being able to do it aside from just one, because that's probably not something that would be feasible for them to do in terms of like gameplay mechanics.
Right. I guess again we're gonna have to wait and see. Next I got Deadpool. So he's one that's really popular in the Discord, and he's kind of a controversial character because some people like him, apparently, from the poll. Lots of people voted for him, but there are lots of people who don't like him either.
Really?
Yeah,
I can see that, though.
Yeah, I think people I have that experience myself too, where somebody thinks they're funny or is trying to be funny, and it doesn't make you laugh, and it really grates. So I can see how he might bother some people. And also, in the comics, I've had experiences where I really liked Deadpool and the run was really funny, and I've also read some that were just not funny, and it doesn't work. Like, you can't read Deadpool trying to be funny and it doesn't land for you. So
yeah, it is definitely a tough read.
If they put him in, you really got to nail his voice and his jokes and the references. And we're guessing that this game is going to be family friendly, so I guess he's not going to be able to do anything too gory or too vulgar. Well, yeah, I really want to see him in the game. It's going to be a really delicate balancing act to get him just right.
For sure. I think I think part of, like, aside from like his like actual the gameplay mechanics of him, is going to be like, what's his like aesthetic, what's his design, like what, like I would say like half of who he is like, well, yeah, we know he has an insane healing factor, we know he can come back from pretty much anything, but the other half is the fact that he's the merc with the mouth. He breaks the fourth wall, he talks vulgar, he is very gory and gruesome when he has to be, like, you know, so nailing that's going to be very important if they do him.
But he's got his swords and his guns, so feels like he's an obvious fit for this kind of game. And I thought it would be fun if he was like a melee character. And then I guess if you don't take any damage for a set amount of time, you start to regenerate health, because that's obvious from his power set.
Yeah.
And then this game seems like there's lots of like levels or like verticality, because we got Spider-Man who can swing. There's lots of characters who can fly. So I guess for Deadpool, it would be cool if he can do some kind of drop down attack with his swords. Or like we saw in the trailer, Hulk has an animation where he's slamming, who was it, Loki, I think? Slamming Loki on the ground. So I thought that would be cool for Deadpool. Oh, Namor. Yeah, it gets wrecked. So it would be cool if we got some kind of animation for Deadpool, like dropping down and doing some crazy attack with all of his weapons. Just
kind of like pulls out the Desert Eagles or the guns and just kind of just starts like spamming them in different directions. That'd be kind of cool too.
Or something really goofy that like is randomized. That could be cool if he just pulls out some random item and smacks the enemy with it, like a fish or like
clown like a fish car or a rubber duck. Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
But yeah, I think we will see him in it eventually.
Yeah, I would be very shocked if they don't add him. I mean, we have, like I said, we have to think about the most popular characters that they want to get people's attention, and he's right at the top of that list.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Deadpool hoodie right now.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. So definitely popular. Likely, I would say he's on the more likely end of who we're going to see.
Yeah, he's got his own movie coming and the Wolverine Deadpool movie. It's like, come on.
Exactly.
Deadpool and Spider-Man had a comic together. So a team up with Spider-Man would be a really obvious one. And then if we got Wolverine in it, of course, he's going to team up with Wolverine. Yeah. Since they've got their movie together. And then later on in my list, I added Domino. And she and Deadpool had like a romantic history. Yeah. So if she's in the game, it would be cool to see a team up with those two as well.
Yeah, that's right. We did see Domino also in Deadpool 2, didn't we?
We did. Pretty sure she was so cool in that movie.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was her until I went back and rewatched it. And I was like, hold on a second. That's Domino. Yeah. So yeah, definitely cool. Definitely cool character. That would be awesome to see him team up with.
All right, who's your next pick?
My next pick, we got Daredevil.
Oh,
had to add him. You know, I was like, he's also, like I said, up there now, becoming one of the most popular, one of the most iconic characters in Marvel. I mean, he's just like, be a disservice not to add him eventually as well.
That Netflix show really blew him up, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean that's really where I think a lot of these characters that people were really fond of now is like they stemmed from once these characters became into the mainstream through the TV shows, through the movies. So I mean, and rightfully so, because they deserved those kinds of like that kind of attention because they're so good. They're really genuinely really good characters. So you know, Daredevil being like one of the characters that I would love to see come to the game with like his ability of like sonar vision, I think would be sick. A traversal with his like Eskrima sticks, like being able to kind of swing around, and you know, he melee. I would see he'd be like close quarters, like DPS, like melee, using like his hands, using his like batons. And then his ultimate, you know, like I said, it's so hard to not like think of things to help you develop what concepts of characters and what ultimate. And I feel like, you know, us going through this is very similar to what the devs probably went through, which is how do we make these characters have their own uniqueness, but also they try not to rip off Overwatch's characters because to credit Overwatch's credit, there are very good and very creative ultimates and a lot of abilities.
Right, for sure. Yeah, there's probably people getting paid to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so it's like they're sitting around, they're like, okay, well, what do we do for if hypothetically Daredevil comes up in conversation, what's his ultimate? Well, you know, sonar vision. It's the ultimate. Like he basically is able to now see people through like walls, similar to Widowmaker. Right? And if that's the case, then that's a very like that could be a very base level idea for an ultimate of his. He could there could be someone out there who's probably come up with a way more creative idea
I feel
for
like
what they think Daredevil could be. But that's something that comes to my mind just like off jump.
I feel like they wouldn't do it, but it would be really cool if you played as Daredevil, you had some kind of different filter over your vision.
That
because
would be
it's
cool.
such
Like
a
for
big part of
Cyclops,
his
it's
character that he's blind.
Right.
Like it feels like you should do something, but again, balancing it in a video game, you can't make it completely black. And I guess maybe if you could have wireframes, like a red wireframe somehow, but maybe that wouldn't be possible to play that way. But I would like them to do something. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean it's the game's third person, right? So like that's something to remember is that like we're not playing in first person. I kind of so we're getting a little bit of leniency when it comes to like, okay, well how creative can we make some of these abilities? Because if it was first person, I could see like the red filter like on the screen would be kind of annoying, and it'd be hard to like see people, hard to make things out.
Yeah,
but it'd be something that would just be a detail. It'd be a cool creative touch,
maybe
right? But third
thing.
person, or an optional thing like an accessibility feature for sure. But like with third person, it's kind of like, okay, well, how do we make these characters fun to play as? We haven't really seen, well, like I said, from my own experience, I recently was just playing Overwatch today, and I was like, everything's like first person. But like, I was trying to think of like, okay, what would it be like if we were playing third person right now?
Yeah.
And like, would it be the same game? And I don't know if it could be.
It's difficult to think about how much it changes everything, because with third person, you can see a little bit behind you. So that's the most major change, I think. And then aiming is a little bit different, but yeah, I wonder really how much it's going to impact the gameplay. Again, we're going to have to wait and see, because I don't know of any hero shooters that are third person. Is Apex? No, Apex is first person, right?
No, Apex is first person, but there you can inside of the shooting range. Fortnite is.
Wow.
Fortnite is.
Now I sound like an old. Yeah, Fortnite's in third person. I didn't remember that.
Fortnite's in third person, but again, Fortnite's also like it's different. It's not quite close. I think close enough in proximity. In terms of third person shooters, yeah, sure, it exists in that genre. But in terms of what we're kind of like trying to talk about with this game in particular, I don't know if it necessarily like is close enough.
Yeah, it's a lot wider, isn't it? It's a big map, and you're all spread out. It's not like a 6v6.
Yeah, it's a battle royale. It's not. It's kind of hard to like kind of compare it in that sense. But I think definitely we could see we have to see how the third person is going to actually feel. I think that's a big thing people really haven't talked about is like how good is it going to be able to feel to play third person shooter like this in this kind of scenario, like environment, and with all these characters. So yeah, really I'm interested to see how that's going to work.
We really need to get into the alpha, man. Like, I gotta
we gotta see everything.
There's a big possibility that neither of us will, which sucks. I got to be prepared for
I think
not getting an email.
Draw. I wonder how they're going to be able to let in.
If I got one, I wouldn't mind letting somebody else have a use of it, because if they're a fan and they want to, and they just they weren't lucky and didn't get picked, I feel like it's nice to let them have a look.
Yeah, for sure. But also kind of like, how many people can they let into the server? How many people? What is a server capacity? Right? Like we have to think about those things. Of like, okay, well, actually support. How many players can they really even support in the game?
Yeah.
That's the thing we think about.
I might already be out because I'm in like Asia, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was just North American test. Or they might want me to be in it for the ping test. I don't know.
Well, yeah, NetEase is also, I believe is a Chinese company.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they have priority in terms of regions, so could be that.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many variables. Who knows, really? Just gotta wait and see. Yeah. It's like playing the lottery.
Yeah. So moving on from Daredevil, we have your next pick.
Domino.
So
I always thought she was an interesting character because her power isn't one that you can really, like, it's not defined really. She's lucky. So we don't know. I mean, from what I've read of Domino, I don't know if she even has any control over it. It just kind of happens for her. So I thought she'd be a cool character because she could either take reduced damage or have like a % chance that any shot fired at her will not damage her. It will just miss. And then I guess if she had like an ult, it could boost that chance higher so she can become invulnerable or something for a short time.
Dude, that would be so broken. That would be so sick though.
And then we saw in the trailer maybe there's environmental takedowns. We saw a bridge and a statue fall on a team, and we weren't sure if it was the move that caused it to fall down that killed the enemy, or if it was the thing itself falling down that killed them. But if they do have environmental takedowns, it would be a cool touch to have Domino be immune to them, I thought.
That would totally make sense to her character. Like, if she's lucky, she gets moved out of the way.
She can survive a team wipe, and that's a reason to pick her, I guess.
I think the idea of her, like, dude, if your moveset was added to the game, so many people who would hate Domino. Oh my god! Because here's the thing, right? In most games, on average, like you're gonna be talking about people who really care about pings and people who care about bullet registration. Like these are just very core mechanics across any shooter game you play. Is like you have to think about like how do gun bullet registration work or whatever the case is. And so her taking reduced damage or her taking no damage at all is like, what the heck? Am I lagging?
Exactly.
Is she lagging? That would be
true.
So crazy. People would hate Domino. I could already see it if that was the case.
I think a bunch of the ideas that I had are kind of like that, like kind of breaking the game a bit or changing the way the game functions. I think that kind of stuff's really fun, but as you were saying, like some people might find that really annoying.
If there was more game breaking stuff, I would totally do it. But there's always people who are going to be like, that's not possible, or you can't do that. There's always people who are just going to be very adamant that like those things cannot be realistic in the game, which sure, fair. That could be the case. But we're, like I said, we're doing this for fun, and we just want to make the game has so much potential. We just want to see it reach its full potential.
What I think would be the most fun about that is that you yourself don't, like I was saying, her power may not be under her control. So you don't know how much chance you've got of not being hit by this character. And if it's only a % chance per hit, if somebody fires quickly, they're more likely to hit you. And if they have a slow firing weapon, it might be like 50-50 you're going to get blasted, but you might not. So you might try something risky to see if you can do it. You may or may not get killed. So it would be a really fun, like kind of a gamble to play with her.
Yeah, that would be. Like I said, Domino's a great pick. She is a very you came up with a really unique skill set or move set for her, which I think would be super sick to see, but also probably really controversial. So
yeah, we'll see if we get her in there. And then again, she'd be cool to have a team up with Deadpool.
I think so too. I think that makes sense. Her and Deadpool are just like would be an obvious pick probably.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Domino's character outside of like what I've seen in like the mainstream, but. Totally would love to see her in the game.
Yeah. All right. Who you got?
I got Thanos. That's my next pick.
Man.
Dude, I was like, listen, okay, here's the other thing. Here's the thing I was thinking about as well was we want to see big bads. We've got Galacta. We've seen her in the trailer. We got Doctor Doom. We got Magneto. Like big. I mean, like, okay, big bad. These aren't like big bads, but they're like bad guys, right? But like big bads are like Thanos, Galactus, Dormammu. Like big villains, right? So like Thanos is one of those characters that is like, dude, eventually we gotta see him in the game too, somehow. He's inevitable, yes. And so great use of that line, right? I mean, I just don't know if we'd ever see him because there's so many characters that they could add before him, and like he's probably what would it be his moveset? What would be his ultimate? I don't know. I mean, I kind of came up with one where I was like, he could wield the axe weapon that he has, kind of like similar to what we see at like in like Endgame and stuff, and his armor that he has and stuff. Even in the Fortnite game, we see a lot of that. But more so, I think for his ultimate would be probably using the Infinity Gauntlet, activating the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, of course.
We'd have to, right? And so I was like, okay, would it be OP if his primary weapon was the Infinity Gauntlet and he was able to use different stones? Yeah, probably that's not fair. That probably is a little broken. But if it's just his ultimate, like activating the full Infinity Gauntlet, and this is where I kind of went down two roads was, do you either choose which stones you want to use, or is it just kind of one of those things where it's like all the stones get activated like once and like it's just like it's either like a beam, like a laser beam, or it's like you can use you can use it for like melee and like punching and stuff like Hulk, like that's kind of where I was like,
oh, so you could select which stone somehow.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? Like it's either you choose one of the stones, or the ultimate is all the stones, but maybe it has like in terms of damage, it could be the same, because like, if you choose different stones, they have different effects, and so what good is it really? Like, I mean, it would be sick if you could cycle through this. I mean, it'd probably take a lot of balancing, but like taking each stone and being able to cycle through them would be sick. Like,
right, with
you have
like
to teleport
something.
Yeah, you have to use the space stone, or teleport, so you use a space stone. And then you want to do increased damage, you use the power stone, like, or whatever, or like, you want to heal yourself, you use the soul stone, or whatever the case is. Like, that would be really fucking dope. That would be so cool to see, I think.
Yeah. Always, all you could do with the gauntlet, you could have him snap and just kill half the enemy team, but you wouldn't be able to pick which ones. But it's a 6v6, so if 3 of them just got snapped out, that would be really cool to see. And again, if you can't pick who it is, I feel like it balances it a little bit.
Yeah, I think what would be interesting, another thing that would be interesting to see is you have him snap and like it's in a certain radius, right? Like if you're within the certain radius of the circle, whatever, however big they would make it or whatever, like within that radius, if you are standing within there, you get just instant in.
That's a good call. Yeah, so you know it's coming, so maybe you have a chance to run away.
Yeah, exactly. And so you could be like, maybe there's like a charge up, so it's not like instantaneous and there's no way to avoid it. Like maybe there's like a 5-second charge up or some 10 seconds charge up of him doing it. But yeah,
maybe like what's that guy in Overwatch? The cowboy guy.
Oh,
you know
McCree.
his attack's coming because it goes woo, and then he says his voice line. So you could have like a sound effect, and then I am inevitable.
Yeah. That would be exactly right. You could hear him say the line. You know, kind of like in Endgame, we saw Hulk grab the Infinity Gauntlet, but when he put it on, it was like one of those things where it was like a struggle. Like it wasn't like he couldn't close his fingers like easily.
Yeah.
He had to like force it. So it's maybe something similar to that. Even with Thanos is like, you know, using the gauntlet to snap would be like a charge up, and like it would give people enough time to be like, oh shoot, this guy's winding up his ult. Like we might have to get out of here. But yeah, I mean that's something that I definitely could see. I think he's a cool ass fucking villain, and I love the Infinity Gauntlet like story. I love the Infinity Saga story, so I think that'd be such a cool character, cool addition to see.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Besides Doom, do we have any? Doom was our pick. Oh no, Doom is in the story, but we don't know if he's playable or not yet, right?
Yeah,
is everybody playable?
I think,
a hero beside Magneto's grey, but
I think we have
Loki,
like any villains. Yeah, I would say like Loki. I would say we have Magneto. I have to probably pull up my list specifically.
Yeah, I'm wondering, have they given us only like heroic and grey characters? Do we have anyone who's like a villain?
Namor could be. I mean,
true.
depending on how you look
one.
at it. Yeah, I don't think so. I have to. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. Well, like I said, we also don't know the full roster yet. We only know so much of the characters, so I definitely could think that we see more villains come. That'd be sick. I mean, besides Doom, obviously, and we all have literally in like Punisher is like not a villain; he's like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, we only have Magneto and Loki and Doom. So I definitely could see more villains coming.
Yeah, we got the Helatis too. So I wonder if the villains are going to be playable or not. But yeah, now that you're talking about Thanos, that would be awesome if we got to see that.
All right, moving on. So what's your next pick?
Next for me, Okoye. So I think she's really, really cool. That's pretty much the whole reason I picked her. Like a lot of the others I picked because they have a mechanic that would work and I like the character. But Okoye, I just think she's so cool. I just want to see her in it.
She would be really cool to see. I think if we see any of additions from Wakanda, besides Black Panther, we could see her. I could see Killmonger.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Shuri, maybe, but yeah.
I think she would be really cool to team up with Black Panther, of course. And she has her big spear that she can use for DPS, or maybe she could use it as a shield if she twirls it around really fast. Yeah. And I always loved in the movie where she throws the spear through the back windshield of a car, and it goes out the front and impales into the street, and it crashes the car. Like the car crashes into the spear.
Oh yeah.
So I'd love it if she could use that to stop the chariot. If you can use that spear like that. I thought that would be a really cool reference to have.
That would be a cool ass reference to have. I think it would be probably have to be on like a cooldown, like a pretty big cooldown, because like if you're able to do
that often,
that would be cool. But I could definitely that would be a cool like homage to see her use a spear like that for sure.
Or we saw in the trailer Groot has like not a wall exactly, but like a diagonally placed bunch of branches. Yeah. So I don't know if that's for traversal, but I guess you could use her spear that way too. If you could allow her or maybe her teammates to run up it and jump. We don't know how useful that's going to be or not yet, but it looked like that's what Groot was doing. So maybe if we need more of those kind of moves, she could do that too.
For sure. I definitely think that Okoye would be like could be easily one of the first characters we see if they do a Wakanda season.
Oh yeah. That would be great if they did it all together. Because have you seen the new Ultimate Black Panther?
I did. I saw that pop up on my feed.
Oh my gosh, all the costumes and the character designs are so awesome. Especially Killmonger. Yeah. I love Killmonger's new costume, so I'd love to see those show up.
Exactly. I know, dude. The comics give such good inspiration, and like obviously movies obviously, but like the comics are such good inspiration for like if I was on the art team, I'd be like, let's see if we can get the rights to like to use some of these and get inspiration for some of these. Because that'd be there's so many options to add, right?
Right, and if a skin is not too difficult to make, and this is the thing with this game, there are so many skins and costumes and characters you could do. Like, I don't know how difficult it is for them to do a new skin, but like if you price them just right, I could just see myself being like, okay, I'll buy that one. Okay, I'll buy that one too.
I'll buy
Okay,
that.
I'll buy.
Yeah, I'll buy
If they're
that
not
one.
too expensive,
Yeah.
if they're just the right amount, like I don't know, 4 or 5, well, maybe inflation, maybe $6, $7.
They definitely would probably be more than that, but
You
I see
think?
what you're saying. Yeah,
I mean, if they put
probably.
out a whole bunch of them and then made them less expensive because there were so many, that would trap me more than one expensive one. I think I would buy lots of cheap ones versus one expensive one.
I mean, the game is free to play, right? So we have to like consider like, okay, like how are they going to monetize the game, and that's the skins is going to be the way to do it in the battle pass, I would assume.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, Okoye, great pick as well.
Ah, thanks.
And then okay, so moving on, my next pick, kind of obvious as well, was Wolverine. The very obviously was one of the most popular picks, but like I said, he's just similar to Cyclops. Really important character. Just I think we have to see him alongside Deadpool eventually if they do that.
Yeah.
And obviously the alpha is in May. The game comes out in the movie. The alpha's in May. The movie comes out in July, I believe. So if we don't hear of something maybe post summer of like, okay, the full roster or like beta roster at least, and then like, if they're added in it, great, because then that's totally what we predicted. But if they're not in it, it's also like, okay, well, I hope to see them by the time launch is around.
You're right. It's a bit close, isn't it? I wonder if they make it in time.
Yeah, and we don't even. We're so early out. We don't even know what the launch date is of this game.
We don't know when the alpha date is. It's just May. They're teasing us.
Exactly. But one of the abilities I think I would just like thought of was like his ultimate was like a beast rage kind of thing where he just kind of all claws out, just like full on, just like similar to like when they discovered him in the Weapon X program kind of thing, just like all like no like holds barred, just goes berserk basically.
Yeah, I can see that.
He gets like a health increase, like a damage increase, and then like has to like come off like a cooldown and stuff like that. But I think that would be like a really cool ultimate, obviously. And like I said, he's a berserker style DPS character, so we could easily see him with that ultimate. And then also I think was thinking about was the skins would be sick. I love his X-Force skin. It's one of my favorite like costumes that they've had.
Yeah.
I like the whole X-Force run, but like just all the colors and the costumes, the dark color, the black and the gray with the red, it's just so cool.
They've had so many cool costumes over the years.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying about all the skins you could do. There's so many potential costumes, even just for one character. It's insane.
Yeah, and then his it would be sick to see is like his literally his Weapon X skin, where it's like he has the like the visor and the goggles, but he's pretty much naked, but like he has like the visor and the goggles on, and or like the headgear that they basically put on him and stuff, and it's like I don't know, just a very raw animalistic version of him. That'd be kind of cool to see as well.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny, even if I see Wolverine, I think I'm just going to honorable mention this because we're here, is like I could also eventually maybe see Sabretooth. That'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sabretooth, then you can
also,
have voice lines between those two.
I think Sabretooth is having like an interesting run right now in the I think with the Wolverine right now in the comics. Like
yeah, they're having a big old showdown. It's just Wolverine, but then it's got like a subtitle in there like
okay.
Sabretooth War, I think.
Maybe that's what it is. But
yeah, he's doing some nasty things to Wolverine.
Yeah. Who's your next pick?
Let me see. Let me go up. Okay. So, next I got Colossus. Yeah, he's a type of character that I really like, where they're big and strong, but they're really gentle. I have a real soft spot for that kind of character. And Colossus is the biggest and strongest and friendliest. Like, he's such a sweet boy. I love Colossus. But would want to see him as a tank because of his personality. But, I mean, he doesn't really have any abilities or powers that would make that make sense, besides being able to catch bullets on his metal body and not get damaged. It would make more sense as a DPS, but just because it's him, I want him to be a tank. I don't know how they could do it, but yeah, I definitely
see him being more of a tank too, though. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, he doesn't have a lot of abilities besides like
being
basically
metal,
blocking bullets and being metal. But he would be a super cool character to see. And you're right. I do love characters like that. It's similar to like Reinhardt, Winston. Again, these are kind of like big strong characters that have like really great personalities. They're really likable. I could definitely see Colossus like being one of those characters that we see as a tank come like later in like maybe an X-Men season.
Yeah, I hope we get him. And he's another one I can see maybe holding back the chariot or pushing back the chariot by a certain amount.
Yeah. Oh, it would be so cool to see like them actual like maybe like interact with the chariot, right? Like Hulk pushing the chariot if you really want to make it go faster or like whatever. Yeah.
I hope we get some of that stuff because going back to Overwatch, like Lucio could speed it up a little bit, but mostly you couldn't do much to the chariot. It would be cool if you had some ways to interact with it. You couldn't do it that often. You'd have to, again, another problem of balance, but I feel like it would affect team composition on all kinds of things if they had that.
Yeah. Like if you're able to push the chariot forward faster or push it back, faster by like actually interacting with it, I think that'd be a cool mechanic to see, like a cool detail as well.
That's true. We haven't even seen, do you have to physically touch it to push it? Or is it the same as Overwatch where you just have to be by it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be one of those things where you just be by it.
Oh yeah, there's goats, aren't there? The goats are going to pull it. So yeah, I guess
the goats are pulling it.
It's going to move by itself. I was going to say, similar to Deadpool, he's another character that would be really cool if he jumps from a height down and has some kind of attack. Because he's a big old metal man. Right,
yeah. No, what I was going to say was, like, I wonder if the chariots are different on each map. Like, with the Loki one, we see, like, the goats and stuff. Or, like, Asgard, rather, Asgard. We see the goats. But, like, on Tokyo 2099, is it going to be, like, I don't know, something futuristic or something, I really
hope so.
That'd be kind of cool to see. But, yeah. So, great pick. Colossus also. Amazing X-Men. Mine, I kind of had a twofer. I was kind of like torn between this because, like I said, we saw Fantastic Four, but I was either between Mr. Fantastic or Miss Marvel.
All right.
Characters with stretchy hands, stretchy abilities, either one. And I feel like I could see Miss Marvel coming to the game. I would say she's like a roughly popular character in the newer era comics. And especially with like. Yeah, divisive, but also like she's in the MCU now and stuff too. So I could see her like being in the game. But Mr. Fantastic, I feel like would be the most obvious choice. And like I said, it'd be cool to see like them have like the ability to like grapple onto like things and like swing or grapple onto people and like you could do like damage that way and pull them close to them and like kind of trap them. That'd be also kind of sick to see.
That would be cool.
I don't know what I could see for his ultimate. Like he just kind of like turns into like what if you could like change shapes? Like a big, like you could turn into a big wall or like a bouncy ball. Like, yeah, I don't know, like something interesting to see what his like, what Mr. Fantastic or Ms. Marvel, like, whatever they could do in terms of their ult, that would be kind of interesting to see. But yeah, he's someone I would love to see eventually come to the game. Any of the Fantastic Four characters, but Mr. Fantastic would be really cool, besides Johnny Storm.
Of any of these characters, the one that you'd be likely to get the MCU actor or actress to do the voice for would be Miss Marvel. She'd be so into it. I can imagine her doing that.
Yeah, she would be. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
For free. That would be awesome.
Yeah, she would be. So yeah, Mr. Fantastic's my pick. Who's your next pick?
Who have I got next? Blade. He's another character that I put in just because I think he's cool. Pretty
Great
much.
Pick.
He's got his movie coming up. The recent Blade comics are so good. And actually, I got really attached to Blade when I played Midnight Suns because he had this like romance. Yeah, he had like a romance going on. He had a crush on Captain Marvel. But he's this big, like, really confident guy who's really powerful and strong, but he's, like, kind of shy and nervous to talk to her. It was so adorable.
Great. And I love Blade. Have you seen the trailer for the new Blade game? I think that's coming out. It's like a short teaser. Dude, that looks sick. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how that shapes up. But Blade's able to boost himself with the blood. Like, he doesn't drink blood. He has, like, a replacement serum thing that he uses. So that could be a buff for him in the game on a cooldown or something. Maybe it will heal him up and make him super fast or something for a limited time. Yeah. And then he's got his awesome sword, so of course he's going to use that in his ult or something to do some awesome acrobatics or something like that.
It would be really cool if his ult, the sun goes out or something like that. It becomes nighttime.
That would be so cool.
That'd be so sick. That would be really, really, really cool. Like the sun, or like the map goes like dark and the sun or the moon goes like red or something like that. I don't know. That'd be kind of crazy, but that would be so sick. Blade is one of my favorite characters as well. That's a great pick. Yeah, he's so dope. I just love him. I love the Wesley Snipes Blade movies. I'm a big sucker for those movies. And I just love the way Wesley Snipes just played the arrogance and the badassness of him.
I would lose my mind if they played that, the song from the club. If they had that in this game, oh my gosh.
I can't remember. I think it's he says something like, some motherfuckers always just trying to ice skate uphill or something like that. He said it's to that effect. And
oh my gosh, if they can put that in with Luna Snow, if he takes out Luna Snow.
Some motherfuckers always just trying to ice skate uphill. That's hilarious. But dude, he's such a badass character. I love Blade.
When is that movie coming out? Isn't that next year?
Like 2020, what, 7? Who knows? I don't even
Seven?
know. I
Ouch.
think 2 years, 3 years from now. I don't even know. The movie's in development hell, I think. I think actually they might be writing now with new writers and directors or something like that.
No.
But yeah. So hopefully they get that working. But yeah, no, Blade, awesome pick. My next pick, I was like, you know what? Who else is someone from the Spider-Verse rather, in that is not Venom, is not Carnage, someone interesting, and I was like, okay, well, we have Doc Ock potentially, we have whatever, but I was like, I really want to see Green Goblin. I was like, Green Goblin would be so sick as like an arch nemesis.
All right.
We want to see that. And so I was like, having the glider, having the goblin bombs. I think that would be really, really cool to see. Similar to Junkrat, you throw the bombs and stuff, and you could like use the glider as like maybe even like a weapon itself.
Like ramming people.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see. And like, it would be so sick if they were able to get Willem Dafoe to voice him.
Oh my goodness! So yeah, Green Goblin is a character that I always thought was Green Goblin and Vulture. I always thought like, they're kind of lame though, aren't they? And then we had Spider-Man. Was it No Way Home?
Yeah.
And Willem Dafoe is incredible as an actor. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, if they got him to do that, holy moly.
Yeah, and then having his Raimi, like having the Raimi version of his suit, the Green Goblin suit, like would be sick. Same with like Spider-Man, like getting their like the Raimi suits. But I think he'd be Green Goblin is just someone we also hopefully get to see as well, and like maybe a Spider-centered Spider-Man season. So
wasn't it Green Goblin in the movie who like smashed Spider-Man through a balcony?
You're talking about in No Way Home?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they basically went like through like different floors in like the apartment building that they were in. Yeah.
That was one of the only times in the MCU where I've been like, oof, like, oh, they're in trouble. Like it looks so hard. Yeah, they definitely gave him the physicality finally that we got to see. You got to see some of it in the first Spider-Man, but in this one you get to see some more of it in that movie. But yeah, we'd love to see Green Goblin come to the game. So we saw in the trailer we had a Hulk taking down Iron Man who was flying with like a leap.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he leaps and takes down
Hulk. Are you talking about Hulk leaping at Namor?
That's right. So there's lots of characters who can fly, but there seems like there's going to be anti-air moves. So Green Goblin would be a really great one for that if you can use his glider.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being, like I said, and yeah, there's counterplay, right? So it's not like you're just stuck in the air and like nobody can touch you. You can
get Green Goblin just punts you out of the air.
Yeah, you're jumping up. Like imagine Spider-Man swinging and then Green Goblin just like comes flying by and just kind of slams into him, like similar to the movies. That'd be that would be so sick.
Wow.
But yeah, so moving on. What do you got? We're down to our last two now each.
Yeah. So next, I thought Taskmaster would be really cool. Because Taskmaster can copy any ability that he's seen before. So I thought it would be a cool thing for the character if you can take an ability that's been used close by to you, but you can keep it until you replace it with something else. So it's kind of like a character that switches to other characters, but you can pick and choose different moves. And instead of taking one entire moveset, you can take this move from this person and this move from this person.
Yeah, that's kind of what I imagined it would be as well when I was doing my wish list for him, or when I was trying to conceptualize what I could see for Taskmaster. Was like maybe like his ultimate was like whoever he can see in his field of vision, he takes each one of their abilities until there's a certain durations up, right? So like if there's all however many moves you're able to get, you get like two. Like a primary and secondary attack, and then you get like 3 or 4 special abilities plus your ultimate. So like if you can get like take one of each until all of your slots are filled, and then you can take someone's ultimate as well.
Oh man.
I mean, like I said, there's a lot of this mimicry. There's a lot of this like kind of like copying other people's abilities thing. We kind of like or it's hard to like avoid, but we also kind of like it's an unfortunately easy way to like make a character like versatile. Is being able to copy other people's abilities.
Yeah.
But with Taskmaster, that's like literally his specialty. That's his whole shtick is like being able to copy others, right? So
for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's something I could see.
He's another character with a goofy costume that just somehow manages to look cool.
Yeah, there's a great art by for Taskmaster that I have to look up, but I forgot who it was that I used for like literally my one of my videos, and it was just like I forgot who the artist was, but it was so good. I loved, like, I think in some of the more recent Taskmaster iterations, like from the MCU, they gave him a cool look. Now the actual Taskmaster character, you can have your own opinions on, but like the classic skull and the hoodie and the thing, whatever, and the cloak is kind of cool, but there was There was one specific artist that I can't remember right now, but hopefully I'll think about it later, and I can let you know.
All right.
But it's definitely cool. I think in terms of like his ability set. Now, is he the most high priority character to add? Probably not, but definitely would love to see
especially not
him.
after what they did with Taskmaster in the MCU. They're finished with that, so
the game doesn't have to follow the MCU at all, or they don't have they aren't the MCU, so we could definitely they could do what they want.
They could definitely add him if they wanted to, but it also feels like nobody cares about Taskmaster anymore in general. Comics fans do, but I feel like we might be the minority.
Taskmaster also dope pick. I think I love the assassin style characters, like the tactician characters. Those are really cool. And then moving on, and then I got Black Bolt. So Black Bolt is one of those characters that I started liking more and more like later on. I didn't really know about the Inhumans as much, and then I watched a little bit of the show, and then I was like, okay, yeah, he's a pretty cool character. The concept of him is really dope, and I read a little bit of comics with him in it, and I was like, dude, this guy's crazy strong, crazy. I didn't realize how like powerful he really, really was until I got kind of deeper into his character.
Right. Yeah, I don't know so much about him either. I think I've only seen him he was in Multiverse of Madness, right?
Yes, he was briefly until they killed him.
Something very bad happened to him, yeah.
Spoiler alert. But he's just, being able to destroy like a whole city with even just like a whisper, crazy powerful. It's his thing is that he doesn't speak because his ability is that like if he does, he could really, if he screamed, he could literally destroy the earth, like the whole planet.
Oh my gosh.
And I think in some runs, like I said, I hope nobody's like listening and they're like, wow, like dude, come on, Black Bolt. These are Black Bolt's feats. Don't you know this? And it's like, but I'm pretty sure he's done more damage than just destroying a planet. I'm pretty sure he's actually if I recall, he is also
he's a character that I haven't seen used that much, but it makes sense why if he's that powerful.
Yeah, he is. They showed him pretty much in the movie Multiverse of Madness. He basically destroyed Doctor Strange with just by saying I'm sorry to him and like completely just evaporated him. Right?
How do they use him? What does he spend his time doing? Because he can't be like going out fighting crime or something. He's way too strong. He's
a leader of the Inhumans, so like he all the Inhumans that he's a the team leader of them, like they all are like superhumanly strong. They're not quite mutants if I remember right. Because mutants, I think the distinction between humans and mutants was like mutants are like born with this gene. And Inhumans are, I think, were like kind of experimented on. They're like modified humans, I think. Right. So I think that was the distinction. But yeah, Black Bolt's taken on the likes of like people like the Hulk, Thor, Namor, Gladiator, Apocalypse. So like he's definitely one of the strongest characters in the Marvel universe for sure.
Well, he sounds scary.
And his voice is like I said, if I remember right, I read somewhere, I'm not sure, but like I thought he destroyed a galaxy with his like scream.
Whoa.
But I'm not sure if that's entirely correct. But yeah, Black Bolt's one of my characters I would love to see. And his ultimate, if he screams just like in a kind of like a channel, like in a direction, like a cone, it just kind of like destroys everything in its path. And then if you're not directly in its path, then like maybe just knocks you guys out of the way. I think that would be kind of like where I could see it, because like maybe if he just uses his whispers as projectiles, like different words, like different voice lines as whispers to like, that'd be hard to balance him. Hard to even create him, really. I don't even know how you'd even get him right, but I would love to see Black Bolt. I think he's so cool. And like his power levels are insane. So
wow, that's an interesting character. So next I picked Iron Fist. I don't know that much about Iron Fist. He's a character that's, as far as I know, not even in comics right now. He's not doing anything.
Melee character. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could definitely see Iron Fist, like, similar to like Daredevil, right? Because they're part of the Defenders. So him, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones. Like, I'm not sure if there's like whoever's in the current Defenders, if there even is a current Defenders around.
No, there's not right now.
Iron Fist would be really cool, similar to like Shang-Chi.
What I know about Iron Fist is that he uses chi to power all of his attacks and stuff. So I thought he could be a melee support character where the damage he does to the enemy comes out of them in like chi balls that lay on the ground, and then your team can collect them for a heal.
Oh,
yeah. So I think something I haven't ever seen in this kind of game. I've only seen it in some MMO I played a long time ago, where as a healer, your power was to make these balls that your teammates would have to collect. And I thought that was really interesting, and I've never really seen it come up again. Yeah. So if he knocked the health out of enemies, I thought that would be really cool.
I could totally see that. That would be a great. That would actually, that's like pretty smart. Actually, it's a pretty smart ability for him to have. I didn't even think about the like you could combine almost like certain roles to like also fill some of those gaps in like what certain characters can and can't do. Yeah.
If you somehow gave him an attack buff, he's going to be doing more damage and therefore more healing. So it's like a chain of effects. That would be really cool.
If they did like seasons, like theme seasons, like Defenders, X-Men, Avengers, blah, 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 blah. Like I could definitely see, it would be awesome to see like a lot of these characters come in all together at one time. And then I got a Nightcrawler. Like I said earlier, a similar, very popular character. I love his teleporting, like just like being able to like get. I could honestly see him being a support character more than anything else. Maybe like support DPS, maybe as well. Like you can teleport teammates in and out of places, like but one person at a time. Though he can't do like everybody. Or well, you could do it where it's like an ultimate where everyone kind of latches onto you, and then you just all like teleport to one location. Maybe
that's cool. Or you get him to teleport Strange and then be like, okay, open a portal for everybody else.
Imagine linking him up with Doctor Strange, right? Like now you're like chaining teleportation. So like you and you teleport Doctor Strange teleports the rest of the team. So now we're all like, we're able to like move up together like really, really fast and move through objectives really quickly. So that would be something cool to see. And then, he loves his like swashbuckling. So like giving him swords, to defend himself would be cool. And like being able to like hack and slash, teleport in and out of places similar to like what you could see with like maybe like a Tracer. That would be, I think would be really cool to see on Nightcrawler. And like I said, I love the sound effects of his teleporting.
I hope he gets some text when he does it. Like a sound effect, of course, but then text on the screen too would be so cool. Just a nice little touch.
You know what's funny is like I was thinking about this. I was like, what if they just added eventually like the comic bubbles?
Yeah.
Like with like Deadpool, it seems like that would be more and more likely. But like if they added like like a bam or a boom or like one of those like kind of funny like comic bubbles that would appear. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like that. Like it's been done, but I still think it's cool.
No, I think it'd be add a creative flair to the game that like certain characters are like more likely to have that, right? Like I said, Deadpool is like he's breaking the fourth wall. So if he's hitting somebody, you would see like the bubble appear, like the boom or like the pow or whatever. I think that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, for his ult, it would be cool if it was like a comic book page. Actually, somehow like
everyone gets pulled into a comic book page. Like that'd be crazy.
Yeah, just for the that's for Hulk there was a short animation. So maybe for Deadpool, if we get a really short one somehow, that would be cool.
Yeah. That's right. Actually, I didn't even think about that, right? Like Hulk, we saw Hulk when he was like using the smash on Loki. Unless that was just maybe for the trailer or like it was some kind of like they use like a camera angle specifically just for that.
Yeah, possible.
But like if they're able to do, or like maybe there's like an end like an end game like title screen where it's like play of the game or whatever.
By Hulk.
Dude, if there's like a play of the game type of thing, that'd be really cool to see as well, like an end game screen.
Yeah, you're right. They could have been using just a cool camera angle for that animation from a different angle. So I hope there's some more attacks that have those kind of things going on because that was really neat.
Yeah, being with the solo and like really look into certain characters and what they can do. I agree. And then I think we're down to our last picks, right?
Last ones? Yeah.
Yep.
So my last one, Bishop. Because Bishop can absorb energy and use it to power himself up.
Yeah, so very good pick.
Yeah, the reason I picked him was a character who can be powered up from friendly fire was a really interesting idea to me. So that your team is intentionally shooting him to power him up. He's famous for time travel, so maybe he'd be like maybe he'd have some kind of ability that he can go backwards, or maybe an AoE for enemies to make them reverse their movement.
What if? Yeah, I was gonna say like it would be cool like. If his ultimate pops and like he charges up and then because usually obviously team fire isn't allowed, I would assume friendly fire, and his ultimate allows friendly fire to be shot at him, or he's just like his ultimate allows the enemies when they are firing at him like to take damage. He does get that buff right that way. Either way, I could definitely see that would be really cool.
I see what you mean. So you pop the ultimate and then you run intentionally in front of the enemies and they wouldn't know. That's cool too. That's a really good idea.
I think it'd be cool. And then like if you were to like say use his teleportation, imagine like there's like a wormhole or whatever that opens up like really quickly and you get to like see glimpses of like other universes or other characters or teasers of things we haven't seen yet. And like you see Cable, right? For example, or
that
something.
Would be so sick if they were like teasing things with that.
Right. I was gonna say I think would be
that's an awesome idea.
It's similar to what Fortnite does in like that you have teasers and like a lot of other games do this, but like you have teasers around the map or teasers around the storyline of the game of like, okay, what's gonna come to the future of the game or like what's happening. And there's like little Easter eggs here and there, and like imagine like certain characters when they do their abilities, they get updated or whatever, and like they'll show like the future of like what's coming next season or what characters could be teased or whatever. I think that's really interesting because like the whole this whole Galactus situation, this whole multiversal situation going on. So there are plenty of ways to showcase different characters, you know.
They can almost do anything they want, really.
Yeah, literally. It always comes down to that, right? They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and they got the say. I mean, they got the go ahead from Disney, I guess, or Marvel, whichever.
I would assume it's Marvel probably gave them this the say. Oh yeah, Disney Marvel, but I would assume that they probably got the permission for them to do that. But I guess also not to do anything that would be countering what's going on in their main 616 universe or whatever it could be. I don't know, like whatever their main universe is, like not to do anything crazy. But like I said, it could be in its own contained thing, because unless they want to do crossover stuff, so many possibilities, quite literally a multiverse of options. But
yeah.
For my last pick, and I think kind of fitting that we kind of ended on this like multiversal piece, is Silver Surfer. I think would be a great support character. You know, he loves to be the Watcher. Really isn't like an offensive character, really. So like, you know, using his board to like go around and like, you know, I don't know, imbue people with like cosmic energy, aka like, you know, giving people health or whatever the case is, and like you can like grab people and like, you know, teleport them through. Like, what if you could like go through buildings with them, right? Like go through environment. So like,
oh wow, that would be cool,
right? So like you grab one of your tanks and you take them through a building, and like they're on the other side of the building now to like, you know, safety or whatever the case is. I think that would be kind of cool. Like I said, it would be really hard to like, I guess, design that, because you know, you have to be able to make him go through things without clipping and being able to break the map and stuff, right? So I think that would be kind of a hard thing to design, but Silver Surfer would be really dope to see. Yeah,
that would be such a cool thing to do. If you could just like do the other side of the building now, and then they can go run around. They can run back around or not.
Yeah.
So you're like psyching out the opposite team.
Yeah, and it's really fast too. And like, what if there's like some like future like Ultimate or something like that, where like kind of like what we said earlier, like with Hulk, like if it solos on you, or you have like a play of a game type of end screen, and you know, like Galactus shows up like over the planet, you know, like,
oh my goodness,
like you know in Marvel Snap, if you ever played Galactus or seen Galactus get played, like
just destroys
it zooms
the board.
out. It zooms out the animation of like the planet getting destroyed. Yeah, like something like that would be so sick.
I would love it if they did some big things like that, because a lot of this game seems to be big scale. Like the maps are big, AoEs are big. So if they can do like some even bigger thing like that, that would be perfect.
Right, exactly. So that's my last pick of Silver Surfer. It was kind of fitting that that we're ending on that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of cover?
Yeah, I had some like honorable mentions of characters I'd love to see, but I just don't think we'll get them. So like what we said earlier, Wong, I'd love even just a skin of Doctor Strange of Wong. I love Wong. So everybody loves Wong, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Wong's I would say Wong's one of the more popular characters in the entire MCU.
Right. I don't know if he'll be different enough to get his own move set or whatever, but even as just a skin, I would love to see Wong. And the same for Clea. My Doctor Strange fandom is coming out, but I love Clea too.
Yeah.
And she was in the end of Multiverse of Madness, so maybe she'll come into the MCU, who knows, in like however many years it's going to be.
Well, you got to see what's going on with that, hopefully in the future, but yeah.
So I'd like to see her join, because in the comic a few years back, she and Doctor Strange actually like merged together into a like cosmic being called Strange. And it was only a couple of pages, but it's like one of my favorite things that's ever happened in comics. Mm-hmm. So if that could happen in this game for a team up, I would blow my mind. I would love to see that. Sick. But for now, she's obscure enough that I don't think we'll get her for the foreseeable future. What else? It would be nice to see She-Hulk. Like I was saying earlier, it would be a real shame if she was just a skin for Hulk, but it also makes sense that if she was. So it feels, I don't know, unfair to relegate her to just a skin, but I can also understand if they don't want to develop and create an entire new character when there's one that's already like that.
I mean, has enough of, I think, a fan base and a popularity level where like she could get her own character. I could see that for sure. Yeah, relegating her to like a skin of the Hulk would be terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a good move. Also, I'd love Goose, maybe just as like an environmental damage thing. Aww. Like if you shot it enough times or something, the tentacles come out and it bats you away or something.
Goose or something.
I love Goose. And what else? Oh, we were talking about Colossus earlier. I really like a Strong Guy. You know, Strong Guy?
Strong Guy, yeah.
I love Strong Guy, so I'd like to see him, but I feel like that's so deep a cut. Like we just won't get him, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And Cannonball is another character that I think is really cool, and it's just never used properly. Like he he does like a crazy boost, and when he's doing that, he's completely invulnerable, which is insane. But he never does anything with it. I've never seen him use it in a cool way, really, in the comics. But I was imagining him and Strange team up where Strange makes a portal where he flies through it. Like, that's craziness. So that would be so cool.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities, especially when you're comboing and you're thinking about like chaining abilities and stuff and what kind of things you could do with team compositions. Yeah, like that would be super sick. I know Cannonball was added recently because I just got back into Marvel Snap, so I know Cannonball is one of the cards I got added in, and he's
in that.
Apparently
That's awesome.
apparently he's also very good in the game in Marvel Snap as well. So I gotta get him eventually. But yes, Cannonball would be a dope character to see.
I want to play some more Snap because I didn't know what my login was for a long time, and I just got it back the other day. Yeah, and I was super into it, like so addicted to it at the beginning, and then they kind of changed what the rewards were, and I fell off it a little bit. But for a while, I was like staying up too late and getting up too early to play Snap.
I literally just got it. I literally got back into it. I had taken a hiatus for 7 months. Last season I played was in October of 23.
Same. We both had the same experience. Like, maybe I want to give this another look.
I invested so much like time and money into the game. I mean, I was having a lot of fun, so like I don't mind investing.
It's really solid, yeah.
And so they changed rewards stuff, and it also just kind of got like hectic. I got a little burnt out of like trying to like compete every season to like get to infinite because like I love like that competitive aspect of like trying to get to the tops.
Than me. I liked getting to gold because the first few months gold would get you like you'd get a new title and a new avatar. And that was kind of my goal. I liked working and getting those. But then they changed it to it was like further up the thing, and I was like, I'm not going to get that far.
I really love like getting the card backs. The card backs are so cool, and I'm so like sad I missed out on some of the really cool infinite card backs the past few seasons. But I'm kind of getting back in the game slowly. I'm collecting because like I said, like I was spending a lot. I had a full collection in the Elsa Bloodstone season in October. Wow. So like now it's like having to like rebuild the collection back up. So it's almost like it feels like starting over again, but it's like not quite. It's more so like I get a little bit more flexibility than as if you were starting brand new. But yeah, I mean, it's a great game.
I used to know. I mean, I used to not need to click on the card. I used to know what they did, and now I've probably forgotten most of it. It's like starting over, really.
It for sure is. You got to shake off a lot of the rust and a lot of the. You got to see what the meta is and how people are playing certain cards. But yeah,
we've only seen one stage so far. But again, my bias is coming out. I would love a Sanctum Sanctorum stage because you can have doors to like other realities. There's like the mirror dimension, and also Doctor Strange has the Crypt of Shadows, a full map on its own.
I mean, similar to like with Multiverse of Madness, like imagine they add America Chavez.
Yeah.
And and they do that thing where like she is able to go through different dimensions and stuff like that. Or there's like a map that's just like a bunch of big stars in the sky, like kind of like the World Tree, right? Like imagine these giant stars, and like each level of the map as you progress is a different reality. Like so many cool options. That
would be awesome. And if you had to, like, I mean, they could make it in such a way where you eventually you would have to move to the next one. So
right. Yeah, it'd be a cool game.
The match would take place across several different. Man, there's so many things I could do with this.
Like the chariot is going through different dimensions and stuff too. Bro, they gotta let us in.
I know.
All right. I mean, that was a great wish list. That was really long. I hope.
Yeah, you too. That was really fun to think about, and it. Again, made me more excited than I was before. And I was already excited, so.
Yeah, so that was our wish list. We went over the community's wish list. We went over our personal wish list. Hopefully these characters get added in the future. There's so much potential for the game. We're so super excited. Hopefully we get into the alpha. But Shinzo, tell me and tell other people where they can find you.
You can find me over on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, at Clarion Comics JP. That's CLARION COMICS JP. And over there I just talk about comics that are awesome. I'm just spreading good vibes and love to the creators who made them and having a good time being a nerd. So come join me.
Yes, sir. And then you can find me over at youtube.com/Xmmar, XMMAR. And like, comment, subscribe, stay up to date for more Marvel Rivals content. We're going to keep doing this as long as we enjoy the content that the game has to provide. So yeah,
for sure.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.